Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is going to be the first official episode of a solo James episode. There's some people out there that are really afraid of going to the bathroom in public, and I've never understood that. What are you afraid of? Go take a fucking shit in that stall. You know what I mean? Just go drop a shit. You shouldn't be afraid of anything. Nothing's gonna hurt you. I mean, I get the germ aspect of it, I guess, to some degree, but it's not gonna kill you. But anyway, so yeah. So I'm taking a fucking shit, as I do. I wait till my 30-minute lunch break every day to go in the stalls, hit my disposable vape. You scroll through my phone. Someone always comes in, and I'm starting to match people up by their shoes. I don't know if anyone ever does that, but I'm starting to get good at recognizing people's faces by what shoes they have on, because they sit right next to me in the stall for almost my entire 30-minute lunch break. And I feel like I'm almost forming relationships with my coworkers, and parasocial almost, because we don't even know each other in some ways. But it's kind of beautiful, but that's not where I was trying to go with this at all. It's basically just the fact that they drop the gnarliest fucking wet diarrhea shits for literally 30 minutes, and it sounds intense. And I'm like, how do you wrap that up within 30 minutes? They come in there and I'm shitting for maybe 5 minutes of it. They come in and I'm already wiped. And this dude will just come in every fucking day. And it's not, maybe it's not always the same guy. Like I said, I'm getting good at matching up the faces and the shoes and stuff. Which is really fun, just to not know what somebody. It's like a masquerade ball, you know what I mean? People show up and you're falling in love with somebody or whatever the fuck happens at those things, and you don't see the person's face the entire fucking time, but you've seen their cock, and you know that's their cock. But yeah, that's my point there. I'm very excited for a lot of fucking games coming out. For example, I have a little list here. I have Gotham Knights, which is a Bat Family Arkham aesthetic game. If anyone's played the Rocksteady Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, Arkham Origins, all that bullshit. They're not bullshit, but it's basically just a Rocksteady passed it on to Montreal Studios, which they're the ones that developed Batman Arkham Origins, and they're going to develop it, and you play as Red Hood, Harley Quinn. Sorry, not Harley Quinn. Wow, that's the Suicide Squad game, which is on the second on my list here. But Batman. Bear with me here. I'm a fucking retard. Red Hood, Robin, Nightwing, and Batgirl. Yeah, it looks really fucking cool. There's been some some downgrade stuff we've seen from the showcase to the beta or whatever the fuck they're in now, where they were showing off footage from Red Hood and Nightwing or whatever it was. And yeah, I mean, it looks really cool. I'm not against the game. I know there's some people out there who are just not really fucking with the whole fact that Montreal, Warner Brothers or whatever, whoever's developing it. I think it's Warner Brothers Montreal or something to that effect. But they're just, people are upset about that. I understand. But let's give it a chance. I think the game looks really fun and promising. I think it's going to be cool having a live service Batman type game. The Bat Cycles look cool, or whatever they're being called in the game. The cycles, the motorcycles. Yeah, so second on the list is Suicide Squad, which is being developed by Rocksteady Games, which, as I just said, they're the people that did the Arkham games. And yeah, this game looks really cool. It's Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. It's a game featuring the King Shark, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, Harley Quinn, and I think that's it as far as I know. I hope I'm not forgetting anything, or anyone, sorry, but I do believe that's the cast so far that I know of. Basically, the premise of the game is it's an open world set in Metropolis. You and your 2 to 4 friends, I can't remember how many exactly, but you guys basically just co-op fucking smack the Justice League, and that's the storyline. You're just going through fighting each member of the Justice League. The Brainiac has them under mind control, and yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be some twists in there. It's gonna be something we're not expecting entirely. Maybe you do fucking kill the Justice League, genuine. So Suicide Squad, super cool. I think that an open world Metropolis setting is super fucking unique and cool, and I've been wanting to see something like that for so long. We've had some Superman games in the past that were kind of fucking butt cheeks in my opinion, personally, but yeah, they just, oh man, It's gonna look really nice. I think that, this year is a really good year for gaming, with the whole COVID thing just not being so crazy this year. I think we're gonna see a lot of really good games that have been delayed and got a lot of extra polish that would have came out, a year prior, had there have not been COVID. We're gonna jump to the game that I am the most excited for, and the game that I honestly could talk about for hours. This game is gonna be a game called The Quarry. Now, The Quarry is gonna be the sister of Until Dawn, which was made by Submassive Games. It was a PlayStation 4 exclusive when it came out. It was originally supposed to be for the PlayStation 3 Move controllers, but I guess they had a little testing for that, and people realized this would be way more fun to play with just a controller. It's a little limiting with just a Move controller and whatnot. And it's not the same cast. It's not even the same story. It's an entirely original new story with an entirely original new cast. They do share the same gameplay features and mechanics and stuff like that, but for the most part, they are going to be so different. The Quarry seems to have a summer camp vibe to it, maybe allegedly werewolves we've seen some stuff on. Until Dawn was actually pretty crazy too, not to say that wasn't surreal or whatever. There was a lot of crazy stuff in Until Dawn. I mean, the main overarching antagonists of the game were Wendigos. Is that what they're? Wendigos, sorry. Yeah, sorry. And they were fucking creepy as fuck. And if they do anything like that, where it's like a creature or even something to that effect, it's gonna be fucking awesome. There's already 30 minutes out, which I don't recommend watching if you're not into spoilers and stuff like that. It is said to be over a 10-hour long story, and this is actually from their mouths entirely here, which I know has been said by so many developers when they're like talking about how many endings a game will have. But this is reported from IGN and Submassive Games to have 186 different endings. It is a lot, maybe an overwhelmingly amount of endings. I don't believe that for a second. Do I think that there will be enough matchups in the games to where you can have combinations of different dialogues and characters and relationships and weapons and deaths? Yes. And I think that will add up to about 186 different combinations of gameplay styles. But as of actual endings for the game, for there to be 186 different endings, that would be fucking insane. And I don't even think I'll even put a dent in that, and I'll probably only do 10 of them. But yeah, and that's the thing too, is how many of those 186 endings, until it gets stale, like really quick, and you're like, okay, I've done 15 of these endings, and like the only difference between 5 of these was like one word in the dialogue or something, because how many different endings can you really have? Submassive Games is also working on a game called The Devil in Me, which looks to be like a Saw almost serial killer type vibe, which is pretty cool because they haven't really done anything like that with their Dark Picture Anthology series, which is separate from The Quarry and Until Dawn. If you guys aren't aware, I'm not sure if anyone doesn't know that, but basically those games are entirely different. It's gonna be cool to see, which looks to be like serial killers and stuff, and that's gonna be fun. They've never really explored anything like that. They've been doing a lot of like psychological thriller stuff, or like hallucinogenic gas, like it was all in his head, like a Silent Hill, the guy was crazy type vibe with Little Hope, which a lot of people say that's lazy writing. I was watching a podcast called the Red Pony Podcast when they were doing they were talking about Dark Pictures Anthology and Until Dawn and stuff like that, and they got to the whole topic on it's like how it's lazy writing, and any writer should avoid that ending of like, it was all a dream, then he woke up. I mean, which to some degree I can't argue that that's not lazy writing. I mean, if we're doing the whole then he woke up, but then that's completely separate from like, it was all in his head. And it's a really cool vibe. If you guys haven't played it, go check it out. Yeah, just super exciting stuff in the gaming world lately. I watched Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas for the first time a couple weeks ago. Good movie, Johnny Depp movie. Just got inspired by the whole Johnny Depp trial stuff. I heard him some stuff about Hunter S. Thompson and whatnot, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Let me go watch that. And I thought it was a pretty interesting movie. What the fuck else? I rewatched Saving Private Ryan the other day. Good movie. Love war movies. If you guys have never just sat down and watched a couple good old fashioned war movies just to, bless up your day, you should try it. It'll really humble you. You stub your toe and you're like, you know what? It could be worse. It could be a lot worse. Shop at pillow.com today to, sleep better than you ever have. Do you have problems sleeping? Do you get neck discomfort or headaches or migraines or even tension headaches, one would say, from sleeping on your god-awful fucking 1918 fucking pillow from the Holocaust or whatever, which was not in 1918, then you need to shop at purplepillow.com using promo code JamesPodcast to save you 15% off on all your purchases over there. It's a sick discount code that's actually not existing. It's not an existing promo code at all, actually, so if any sponsors want to reach out after hearing that little sample bit that I do have the potential to do ad reads, shoot me a fucking email. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre game a little bit. I've touched on this on 2 other podcasts I've been on, which was one of those, 2 of those I'm a host on. So I said that like I'm a fucking famous person. Like, yeah, I've been on 2 other podcasts. Touched on this a little bit, but if this is your first time even listening to me, which, hi, I'm James. So basically the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, it's being developed by Gun Media, people that did Friday the 13th, which was a really good game. It had a lot of flaws in the beginning and still has a lot of flaws to this day. They had a lawsuit which halted entire DLC and development future shit, so that really blows. This license doesn't have any issues. So we will see the Leatherface Texas Chainsaw family. And if you guys haven't seen, IGN released a fucking comparison to the movies. Oh my god, to the first movie, to be exact. Oh my god, dude, it looks identical, if not. They did obviously change a little bit of the art up to look like it's their own, but dude, for the most part, the graphics look fucking so good. See this be a next-gen game. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be scary. I'm fucking excited. They're talking about developing new stealth mechanics to be able to actually hide in the shadows and not kind of you know what I mean? Oh, he's in a room and it's dark and I can see him. It should actually, the darkness should actually envelop you and hide you. That'll be really cool to see, and not some bullshit stealth mechanic. Basically, yeah, I've been playing a little more games. I'm trying to think of what I've been playing. I'd say the main game that's caught my eye lately and just I've been putting a little time in is Texas Chainsaw, and I talked about that before it came out a year ago on the last one. I think that game is really good, but I also understand the problem with it being so online oriented and not having a lot of replayability to it. It is the same thing every single match. There is differences in play styles and stuff, but if you're gonna play the same character 2 times in a row, those 2 times in 2 matches feel pretty similar to the one of the other. That could be fixed with future updates. Probably will. So yeah, I'm gonna say right now, I would personally rate the game a 7 or 8. It's a really good game. If anyone has Xbox, it's on Game Pass. I just played with someone today who had never even played a match, and they never played Friday, so they sounded like they're pretty new to just asymmetrical online multiplayer games in general. Just giving them a little bit of a rundown of what to expect and what you do in it. So the novelty of playing inside of that world will die eventually if there's not, shit added to make it more fun. They add some DLC to it, they maybe get the second movie if they're able to, right? Because I know that's they don't want to end up with another lawsuit where they can't, fucking do anything with their game and people are blaming them for it. So they're being very cautious with how they get IPs and shit now. And that's the reason they only have, the rights to the first movie. Maybe they could secure the rights to the other ones, but that's, to be seen yet. So many people own the rights to the second movie. There's this company that has a piece of it, because they like allowed it to be on this or whatever, and then there's these people that own a piece of it, something like that, I think. And yeah, I could definitely see that being kind of like muddy waters, especially when they're like, we just got out of like the shittiest deal ever, and it was like no one's fault in particular, and just maybe they could get creative with it and make stuff that's like close to the source but not like, you know, too crazy, kind of balance it out. But I think if they were to do anything, make a couple DLCs and then jump into something like, you know, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jeepers Creepers, Chucky, something like that, like something different that we haven't seen before. Because right now they're kind of cementing themselves as being like the horror IP guys. Seen with Killer Clowns in Outer Space, the game, it's a very similar style of game, being like an asymmetrical online horror multiplayer game, just like Friday or Texas Chainsaw. It's being taken over like Project Lead by Ilphonic, which are the same people that did Friday the 13th. So a lot of people are like, oh boy, another fucking lawsuit nightmare, I'm not buying this. We'll see, because there's always a chance that they've, you know, I'm sure they've learned their lesson. They were not going to make the same mistakes that they made before that led them down the route of having their game, you know, be fucking basically just dumped. I'll probably have more to say on it once there's more to be seen. Right now I've kind of experienced all of the game. I'm still gonna play it obviously, but it is getting a little stale with just the content. It just came out, so I'm not trying to fault them on stuff not being added. They're trying to work all the kinks out. It's just I can see what people were talking about with this getting kind of stale fast if it's not your like exact style of game, isn't like that over and over again repetitiveness. But it is what you make of it. If you have friends and you're playing in groups, it is really fun. You can have some cool moments and like sandwich people into each other, like you and Leatherface running at somebody and boop, perfectly caught in between the two of you, and one of you gets the kill. You know, that always feels cool. But for anyone that likes Jet Set Radio, Bomber Cyberfunk came out. I've played it. I have it on my channel. It's like brief, and I didn't like really do much in it. I'm waiting for it to come to Xbox before I really like get into it, you know. Bomber Cyberfunk is cool. If you're a fan of that shit, like any trick style gaming like Tony Hawk Pro Skater or fucking Jet Set Radio or Jet Set Radio Future, those types of games, or like what is it, SSX, stuff like that, like trick boarding games and shit like that. Fucking art style is basically like an upgraded version of what Jet Set Radio had going on, with like the really stylistic cell shading graphics and the over the top like lighting. Character designs are really cool as well. Like literally the main protagonist is a dude that had his head cut off and now he has like a robot head. So yeah, it just tells you a little bit about what the direction is with characters and shit. The only thing I would say like that would be my only complaint from what I've heard of, you know, Bomber Cyberfunk is probably the fact that it has no online, but I don't think that takes away from it either. I think that's fine. Not every game has to have online, but it would be fun. I've seen some people like making mods for it for the PC, so that's always cool. Custom characters, like maybe they could do like something like Fallout, or like the house, they have like the Bethesda workshop where you can download mods through it, or like Arma Reforger on Xbox as well has this very similar thing with mods. Download like the fucking Jet Set Radio characters and make that like your crew or whatever. They even got the original composer from Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future. I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce his name, but I'll throw up a picture of him and his name on the screen. It's like super sick. It's not my like I don't know who, like some people claim that like, oh I love this. It's like, would you listen to that like in your car? And some people, yeah, there's like OSTs on YouTube that have like more views than the actual like gameplay videos I've seen of the game. Some people do just listen to it, but it would be a little odd for me to be like just jam into that on my own. But in the game it is cool while you're like flipping around and shit on a skateboard. That's as far as I've gotten, is the skateboard, but I do know there's obviously like way more with the parkour. You have that like jet booster pack, you have a BMX bike, rollerblades, which is like your inline skates or whatever, like your classic Jet Set Radio vibe. That shit is sick as fuck. We needed a game like that for a long time. I think it's been like literally 20 years or something, 21 years, something like that, and since we've gotten a Jet Set game. Every time we get any kind of like crossover with Jet Set Radio in any game, like Super Monkey Ball or like Sega Tennis or whatever it is, it's always like Beats Design or Gum's Design or the ones from the original like Jet Grind Radio or Jet Set Radio. It's never Future. It's like they just like completely ignore Future, even though I think, you know, I don't know numbers wise, but I would think that would be the more popular one. Like people liked it more. I think it was more well received, but I think the first one's obviously more like known because it's the first one. But I think that well, there's some leaks that have came out about Jet Set Radio 3 or a remake or a reboot or something like that. From what it looks like, it doesn't look like a reboot or a remake. Maybe a reboot, but not a remake. I don't know, because the characters look completely different. But a reboot, I'd believe, because it looks like that. It looks like they're like completely reattempting what they did back in the day. But a sequel would be interesting too. I'd like to see where they went with that. There was a company called like Dinosaur Games that was gonna make a PlayStation 4 exclusive Jet Set Radio, whatever they were gonna call it, I can't remember. Evo, yeah, Jet Set Evo. The game looked really cool. They like really leaned into like that neon, cell shading graphic style, and like futuristic fucking style. It really seemed like a sequel to what Jet Set Radio Future was, and I would have really liked to seen what that could have became. You know, people are claiming that they've had something in the works, and that's why they're so like against anybody attempting it. Or Cyberpunk, it's like a 10 out of 10 on Steam last time I checked, and it's doing super well. So if they don't like, you know, bring out something, it's like what everyone's claiming about Bomber Cyberpunk is like they did what Sega wouldn't do, or like what Sega doesn't want to do, and Sega is gonna basically cement themselves as like, you know, kind of get Jet Set obsolete and push Bomber Cyberpunk into what Jet Set is and how people think of Jet Set. It's gonna be Bomber Cyberpunk, and there's no problem with that. But for Jet Set fans, it sucks to see Sega like holding on to this IP and only using it when it's like bullshit crossover events and like weird games like little arcade racers and tennis games and shit like that. But yeah, that's Bomber Cyberpunk. I think it's super good. Waiting for Xbox to give my full opinions on it though, because I haven't, like I said, I only got to the skateboard part. I watched Across the Spider-Verse. I liked it a lot. I think the first one might be better to me. I just like the energy of it. It had more impact on me. Like I thought about it afterwards, like, oh, that was a good movie. But with this one, I didn't really have that, like, thinking about it afterwards, like, man, this was so cool. Maybe it's just because I'm used to, like, that never before I hadn't seen that, like, type of shit in a movie, you know what I mean? The type of animation they went for and, like, character. It was really well done. And I think the second one was, too, but it just didn't have that same impact on me. But it was very good. It's nice timing, too, because Spider-Man 2 for the PS5 people are gonna, you know, that's gonna be coming out, and I think that ties in really well with all of that. Like, good timing, good Spider-Man hype, ride the train. It's gonna be the first one that introduces Venom. When I say first one, I mean, you know, like modern Venom, not like a PS2 or some shit. I think there was Venom on the, yeah, I want to say so. I can't remember actually. I know the Xbox 360 Spider-Man 3 game, you had the symbiote suit and shit. I just can't remember if you actually fought Venom in that. That was a good game though. This one looks to be really good. Kraven, Venom. I'm sure we'll have some other sneaky villains thrown in there. Maybe the Green Goblin or something. That'd be fucking dope. I'm sure they didn't just show us everything they had up their sleeve at once. They're probably going to trickle it out or wait for release for people to find out, because they know what people want. They know people don't want to be spoiled immediately about it. A lot of people would rather find out like when they get into the game. Like same with Venom's identity. They're kind of leaving that open to interpretation, like kind of a mystery until the game actually comes out. And that's probably for a good reason. They probably want to surprise people with it and have it actually be an impactful moment in the story, not something they read on Twitter, fucking, or YouTube, you know, 6 months prior before the game came out or whatever it is, 3 months prior. I think the game comes out in October, so it's like really soon. I don't have a PS5, but I want to probably watch people play it until I get one eventually in the future. But, you know, you get other shit. We're gonna get Fable, Forza, Party Animals, all that stuff. Game Pass is fucking awesome. I think Game Pass saved Xbox for a lot of people. And it's gonna sell a lot of Xboxes, especially with like Starfield coming out, shit like that. People who didn't know which console to get if they were about to buy one or something, now if they want Starfield or they're a Bethesda fan, they're gonna do that. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe.